Hello and welcome. So we are given a circle with one secant and one tangent line intersecting it. Now, in case you didn't know what those were, a secant line is essentially a line that intersects with an object twice, right? Our object being a circle in this case. And a tangent line is the exact same thing, but instead of intersecting twice, it only intersects once. Okay, so once we know that, then it's just a matter of using your relationship, which in this case will be part times the whole equals part times the whole. Okay, and this is referring to one line each. Now, part specifically is referring to the part that's outside. Oops, I need to spell that correctly. Outside of the circle. All right, let's look at our blue secant line first and make the tangent a little bit easier to think about. So when we're looking at this one, we're looking at part, the outside part of the line specifically. It starts at L, it'll end at D. So the first part of it, outside the circle, is from L to C, and that'll be 7. Alright, now the whole doesn't refer to the remaining portion of the line, it refers to the whole shebang from L to D. So that's not just 13, that's 7 plus 13. That is the whole segment from the initial point L, right, to the last point D. Now the tangent line is a little bit different, not by much. So it still starts at L, and then to that first intersection point, that whole section is C plus 8. Do you need parentheses? Yes, make sure you keep them, right? And then from there, you say, all right, well, where's the second intersection point, right? There's no other point over there that's mystically on the circle, right? The whole segment from the initial to the end on the intersection is still C plus 8. So if you have a tangent line, that's essentially multiplying the same thing twice. That will always be the case, all right? Now you'd say, all right, well, now you just simplify, right? 13 plus 7, that is 20 right there. And then 7 times 20 is 140. And then on the other side, we have C plus 8 times C plus 8. So C times C, C squared, plus 8C, plus 8C, plus 64. Alright, and now we have 140 equals C squared plus 16C, combine your like terms, plus 64. Now we're going to subtract that 140. We want to make sure we get everything on the same side, because as soon as you see that square, that makes this a quadratic. Solve using quadratic methods. Right? For the sake of time in this video, I'm going to actually do a little bit of a spoiler for you. There is no factors for this one. It's not going to factor nicely, which means that when we have this, we're going to have to use one of our other solving methods other than factoring. So that's going to be either completing the square or solving by the quadratic formula. I personally like solving by quadratic formula, so what we're going to do is we got our C equals negative B plus or minus square root B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Alright, now from there, remember that your A is essentially the number that's in front of your C squared, which is just 1 in this case. So you have 1 plugged in 2 places. And then you have your 16, which is your B, in 2 places. And then you also have your C, which is negative 76, in 1 place. So you plug that in. So we have C equals negative 16 plus or minus the square root of C squared minus 4 times your A times your C, all over 2A. Alright, so we have negative 16 plus or minus. Now this is just calculator plug and chug. All that stuff inside of the square root is going to end up giving us 560. And that'll all be all over 2 right there. Okay, now keep in mind that our directions tell us that we're going to be rounding to a decimal. Does that mean we have to simplify this? No. I mean, you can if you want to, but we know it's not going to be factorable, because I told you, wink wink, okay? And then from there, we know that because 560 is not a perfect square, that means it's not factorable, okay? And we know we don't have to simplify it. Does it simplify? Yes. Do we need to? No. Alright, so turn to your handy dandy calculator, plug it in. Now remember, you have to do it twice, one for the plus, one for the minus. And when we do, you notice we get 2 answers. We have negative 19.832, and we have 3.832. So those are your 2 solutions. Now, are you done? Almost. You have not quite finished yet. I think that was 832 I said. 19.832. Okay. Once you have those two solutions, now it's a matter of making sure that your solutions work. Remember, your original goal was to solve for C. And C is a part of that tangent line section. Specifically, it's a part of a length. Lengths cannot be negative, right? That doesn't mean that C can't be negative, it just means that lengths cannot be negative, right? So we plug our first answer in, 3.832. Well, if you have 3.832 plus 8, that's 11.832. That's a positive number, right? That means it's good to go. Done. Okay, next is to try your negative 19. So if you have negative 19.832 plus 8, that's going to give you a negative 11. Now, negative is a problem. You can't have negative lengths, which means that your solution is a bust, right? You can't have that, you're done. And that means that 3.832 is your final answer for this one. Alright, thanks for watching.